Alright, guys, so if you've been on r/getting bigger for the past month or so, all you've been hearing about is vibration therapy and the foul back system. Let's actually talk about what's so interesting about it, and then we can figure out how we can implement it on our own, okay? So, the main idea is that vibration therapy does a whole slew of things for wound healing, uh, growth factor release, and potentially collagen dysregulation. All of those have relatively major benefits with PE. This is a caveat. I am a layman. I am not a scientist. I am a mildly successful science communicator. So, this is going to be really concise and oversimplified for the most part. Let's first talk about what vibration actually is. So, vibration is this, right? So it's the oscillation between two different energy lengths, depending on the amplitude, that's how big the wavelengths are, and the hertz. And the hertz, that's how fast the vibrations are, will have different effects on tissues. We can see effects at low as 10 hertz all the way up to 70 hertz, and it also depends how close the tissue is to the vibration engine. So, if we're trying to look at, say, an Achilles tendon on a vibration plate that's supposed to treat the whole body, the Achilles tendon will have a much stronger effect than structures in the knee or the hip, just because that amplitude actually travels through the tissue at full speed and capacity. But let's go through some of the data. So, first, at 10 hertz, that's very slow compared to some of the studies that I have been looking at. We see changes in collagen density. Then it studies as low as 40 hertz show changes in neuron adaptation. So there's benefits to neuron health with vibration over a short period of time. Then at about 45 hertz, we're going to see a slew of IGF release and other growth factor release. There are tons of studies on the benefit of vibration therapy for physiotherapy aspects and like the medical space as well. So it's not just being pulled out of their ass with foul backs system. However, there are some major issues for me with the foul back system. I'm not going to really touch on it here, but my thing is like, if you're willing to spend $20,000 on a penis enlargement device, you're probably not watching this channel. Anyway, now at higher levels, these frequencies can also cause collagen dysregulation. So that means once the collagen is fatigued, it has a very hard time bonding with other collagen fibrils around it. So much like the famous anti-lock study for mice, we might be able to mimic that effect using vibration therapy. This is a lot of speculation, though, so don't take my word for it. Now, a lot of guys, including my business partner, are very worried about the collagen stiffness aspect. If you're a physiotherapist, we are looking at tendon strength and health. Part of that is going to be tendon strength and stiffness. So, to me, all it really matters is that change in stiffness shows the density of collagen built up. Essentially, we're trying to take the same stuff that makes up a rope and then compare it to a pipe. And whatever makes that rope grow is going to follow the same shape as the rope. So it's going to get thicker and a little bit longer. Meanwhile, that pipe is going to have to follow the original shape. Since the pipe is missing the core of that rope, we will not see nearly as much strength adaptation. And on another point, collagen growth is like the main thing that's responsible for long-term growth. So at a certain point, that thickness is going to be an issue anyway. So if we can create this collagen faster, we can at least see gains faster in the meantime. So this channel is basically a live journal, right? It makes it very hard to know what I actually think is the best way to grow your penis. That is why I have written my books, BD's Big Book of Length and Girth Expansion Pack. Essentially, it takes what I've learned over the past 2 or 3 years and throws out everything that was speculative, and it's the proven stuff that works, at least from a scientific perspective. So, if you're struggling to follow along here on this YouTube, it might be worth your while. We have dozens of studies showing it's helpful for wound healing in physiotherapy. What else does vibration therapy do? First, it causes the numbness of nerves temporarily via sensory overloads because you're shaking something so fast, those receptors, those nerve receptors, will like kind of turn off because it doesn't know what to do with all this information, or your brain just starts to ignore it. So that allows that tissue to relax because it kind of is sedated at that point. If you're not careful, you can really overdo it. Like why I have not done my PE session is because I went up to a very high tension level, like above 15 pounds, and I was also using heat. So my propensity for blisters was much higher, and I was not paying attention. I got a big fat blister because I was not respecting the limits of my body because I was not able to feel it. So don't just jump into vibration stuff right away. Make sure you have a good, solid understanding of what your body can handle before you add it because you will be flying blind for the most part. Probably another reason why it is so effective at elongation, and we'll touch more about it with my results within the first 2 weeks about how fucking effective this shit is, but it is basically the ultimate fatigue generator. So, with this, I set this to about 2400 RPM, which is roughly 40 hertz. That means that the vibrations in my penis are 2400 a minute, which, if you look at it at a molecular level, that means my collagen proteins are being stretched really fast 2400 times a minute. So it's going to be next to impossible not to hit fatigue using a vibration engine. On paper, if you are very dense, or if you're just a hard gainer in general, using vibration therapy and retention is going to be the biggest game changer. And there's also evidence that vibration therapy helps with stem cell recruitment. So increasing stem cell density allows for more workers, therefore faster gains over time. Now, let's talk a bit about my results and how I set it up. Basically, I saw the price tag of the Fallback system. I scoffed. I went to Amazon and I bought a $30, maybe $40 vibration engine for a DIY massage chair. This can go up to 3,800 RPM, which would be, off the top of my head, like 62, 65 hertz. So if we're shooting for 40 to 45 hertz, like most of the studies I saw for collagen growth do, we only need to be doing this at 2400 RPM, but since this is a potentiometer, thank you, Perv, for telling me what that is, it's not a linear progression. So the jump between 90% and 100% is almost exponential. It could be like next to double of what it is. So I've been setting this at about 80% for the time being. But there is still growth benefits at lower frequencies than that, so do what you're comfortable with. There's no fucking rules yet. So another thing, this is a little over 4 inches long, so it's going to be big for some of you. Not that big of a deal. There's going to be smaller versions of this somewhere. I just didn't really look for it because I was just looking for the easiest thing that I could find with 1-day shipping on Amazon, okay? This was not well thought out. This was just a proof of concept. What I do is you put a sock over the engine, and this is just going to keep it from rubbing against your skin. I had little cuts on my skin when I used it raw. Not a big deal, but you probably don't want to have little scrapes on your skin on your penis. It's not a fun time. Anyway, what I then did is bought Velcro wrap, cut it to length so that way I could literally Velcro this to my penis while under tension with the apex extender. And then I would turn it on, wear it for 30 minutes, take it off. Real simple. I did not do any fatigue sets because, as we laid out, we're already getting 2400 micro stretches a minute. Practically speaking, there's no reason to do anything other than wear this and keep the tension constant at your target weight. Remember, since this will numb you out, you'll be able to handle more weight than you really should be doing. So stick to what your normal weight is. So Leviathan has been very busy this year. We now have 6 supplements for you to choose from. Way too much to go over in a minute. But essentially, if you're just trying to increase blood flow for performance or whatever you desire, check out Fortitude and Vigor. If you're looking to increase sensation, check out Virility and Fortitude. Then, if you're just looking for a pretty damn good testosterone booster, Vitality is a good bet. Then we have Shield, which is our nerve support supplement, very useful to keeping things spry and sensitive. Then we have Safeguard, which is our soft tissue support, so good for joints, knees, and anything else that you could think of. All this stuff was formulated by my business partner, who happens to be a doctor, so all the stuff is research-backed, adequately dosed, but more importantly, fairly priced, and will help you achieve your goals. So check them out, Leviathan Wellness on Amazon and leviathansups.com. Now, after all of this, I did this for about 2 weeks. My flaccid was about 8 3/4. Now, after 3 days off because of this blister, I'm at 9 1/4 flaccid. Okay, stretch flaccid. If I was a 9 1/4 normal flaccid, you wouldn't be hearing from me. But after my last few sessions, I was 9 5/8, and let me double check this math. Yeah, so I was 4% fatigued in 30 minutes with vibration. And this is one of the main reasons why I'm so hyped about this, is because like I rarely got to 4% with an hour of interval length protocol. Since the science is still the same, it's just the application has changed a bit. I'm able to get so much more work done in such a shorter time, like in comparison, or at least at the same amount of work. No, that's not true either. So lately, my PE sessions that were about 30 minutes, I'd be getting about 2% fatigue. Now, in 30 minutes with vibration, I'm getting double the fatigue rate, which means I am thoroughly cooking the tissues in my penis to allow for these growth factors. Now, I am painting a very pretty picture of this. This is very new. I do not want people rushing out to get a potentially dangerous addition to their stuff, but I do have some more things to talk about. There was a point where my stretch flaccid continuously increased day by day by day. Remember how I started at 8 3/4? It was literally like every other day I was an eighth of an inch longer. And I've been off for 4 days. I'm still at 9 1/4, which was my pre-session length. This is from my perspective, so like my normal measuring, it may be a bit flawed, but it would be very hard for me to cheat that much change, right? This is the most important part. My erect size went up 1/8 of an inch in these 2 weeks. So like my normal erection was about 8.5. My erection now is 8 5/8, and this is me just dropping my drawers and getting hard, not my max size. I do not have the luxury right now to sit in front of a camera and masturbate to get as big as fucking possible to snap the picture. I'm sorry, but at the very least, my day-to-day erections have changed, and like my erections during sex are just ridiculously big. Like I am hitting like whole new levels of size, like when I'm actually fully aroused. So again, I'm painting such a pretty picture of this. You really shouldn't be taking me too seriously. It's only been 2 weeks. I actually hurt myself doing this already because I was not respecting my body, essentially. So take this with a caveat. Give me another month or two to actually work it out. But from what I'm seeing, it has been insane. For girth, I should add this because this is the main sticking point between me and Foulback. I've been using a normal cylinder. Now, obviously, this is much smaller than what I need, but because it was clean, I grabbed it. I'd take this, strap it. Sometimes I would jam something hard in here so it wouldn't rattle. But same thing, turn it on, do interval pumping for 10 minutes at 2400 RPM about. I went from 6 starting a session, so like 6 inches mid-shaft, to 6.5 after the session. So I went from 6 to 6.5 after a session in only 12 minutes of pumping. That is double what I have been getting, and that's what I've been noticing is like, so like normally I'd be about 6 1/4 to 6 1/3 or 3/8 after 10 to 12 minutes of interval pumping. Now 6.5. Are you kidding me? Like it is double the results in the same time. And that's why I'm so high on it, just because it is speeding up my own work so much before we even talk about all the growth factors and everything else. Now, in that 2 weeks, I went from 6 inches to 6.1 inches normal erection, like girth. So I went from 6 inches erect girth to 6.1 erect girth in 2 weeks. I did not do the percentage change for this, but it's noticeable on the ruler, right? Or the Taylor's tape. Again, I am painting a very pretty picture of this. I am very high on this right now, but we need more data. We need long-term data. And I guess I can talk a little bit back about my issues with the foul back. I have gained length and I have gained girth. I am really advanced when it comes to PE, but I've done it at a comparable rate with a $30 device compared to Foulback's $20,000 rental. My implementation is just using what I already have, adding in the science, and then, with this little vibration engine, I'm supercharging it. Foulback is selling basically a whole kit of narrow cylinders and making you stretch that way, which some people think it's leading to girth gains because it's like causing, like, they described it as inertia pressure causing the collagen to bow out almost. Again, I'm not really into the science of that. I think that part's a bit nonsense. What I think is really happening is there's just enough room for them to expand, that there's enough edema build up that it sticks around, and that's what's really causing the tunica to change in girth. But the length gains make sense. Really, they're just length pumping with vibration. Is that worth $20,000? Probably not. Definitely not for me. But needless to say, the device is interesting. I just really think they screwed the pooch when it comes to the actual application, because with my extender, I am competing with them with a $30 vibration engine. Pumping to be determined. But you get the idea. Even if I can get half of the results of what Foulback claims, what would you rather buy? Something that's going to take you 6 months at $30 plus the cost of the devices, like the Apex extender. So $230 for supercharged PE gains compared to baseline, or a concierge service that you can't even keep after 3 months. I know what I'm putting my money on. This is not a takedown on Foulback. It is just it just doesn't make sense to me from a business perspective as a fellow businessman. So keep that in mind. I will have more updates on this. I promise I will tell you if this fails. I promise I'll tell you if any negative side effects come up. But until then, I'll see you later. I am currently reworking my Patreon. At $10 a month, you'll get access to this video ad-free, as well as all of my written content. So that'll be scripts for my YouTube and anything else I just want to talk about on my Patreon. Then at $20 a month, you will get this video for free, my written content, and then not safe for work access. So I can work right into the video, demonstrations if they come up. I can also just post demonstrations without having to worry about it here on YouTube, potentially nuking my channel. So, and we're also going to be offering concierge routines. Essentially, send us your life, send us the equipment you have, what you currently tried, and how often you can do PE, and we'll try to make the best routine that fits your lifestyle, that matches what I currently think is the best way to gain. So check out my Patreon if you're interested in any of that.